3 years ago, I could barely climb a single flight of stairs without feeling like my heart might explode. At just 34 years old, I'd wake up exhausted despite sleeping for 9 hours, struggle through brain fog that made simple decisions feel impossible, and battle chronic digestive issues that doctors repeatedly dismissed as just stress. My blood work showed pre-diabetic glucose levels, my blood pressure was consistently elevated, and the inflammation markers in my body were those typically seen in someone decades older. Yet on paper, I was doing everything right. Following conventional health advice, exercising regularly, eating what I thought was a balanced diet, and taking all the recommended supplements. What I didn't realize then was that the standard health advice most Americans receive is fundamentally flawed, often influenced by outdated science, corporate interests, and a medical system designed to treat symptoms rather than address root causes. My transformation didn't come from some dramatic life overhaul or extreme regimen that required Herculean willpower. Instead, it came through understanding a simple but powerful truth. Tiny, consistent adjustments to daily habits can create compound effects that completely transform your biological functioning over time. Looking back at my journals from that period is like reading about a different person. I documented persistent headaches, afternoon energy crashes that left me reaching for caffeine and sugar, sleep that never felt restorative, and a constant underlying anxiety that seemed to have no specific cause. I tried everything from intense HIIT workouts to strict elimination diets, from meditation apps to expensive supplements, all producing either temporary improvements or no change at all. The conventional wisdom wasn't working, and I couldn't understand why. The turning point came through an unexpected conversation with a functional medicine doctor who asked me questions no healthcare provider had ever raised. Instead of focusing exclusively on my symptoms, she mapped connections between seemingly unrelated aspects of my health, lifestyle, and history. What emerged was a complex picture of subtle imbalances that, while individually minor, were collectively undermining my entire biological functioning. What followed was not a dramatic intervention, but rather a series of small, sustainable adjustments implemented gradually over time. The results were nothing short of remarkable, not because each change was so powerful, but because of what scientists call biological synergy, the principle that certain changes create effects greater than the sum of their parts. Within 6 months, my pre-diabetic markers normalized, my energy remained stable throughout the day, my sleep became genuinely restorative, and the chronic inflammation that had plagued me for years virtually disappeared. The most surprising aspect wasn't just the improvement in measurable biomarkers, but how these changes affected my entire experience of being alive. Mental clarity replaced brain fog, steady energy replaced the afternoon crashes, emotional resilience replaced anxiety. My body, which had felt like an adversary I was constantly fighting against, gradually became an ally that functioned smoothly without requiring constant attention and troubleshooting. Research from Harvard Medical School explains what was happening. Small, consistent lifestyle adjustments can trigger what scientists call biological cascades, chain reactions, where one positive change sets off improvements across multiple body systems. Dr. Mark Hyman, a leader in functional medicine, calls this the domino effect of health, where addressing even minor imbalances can create ripple effects throughout your entire physiology. I want to share the specific changes that created this transformation for me, not as a universal prescription, because each person's biology is unique, but as examples of how seemingly insignificant adjustments can yield profound results when properly targeted to your body's needs. The first change involved timing, not content. Like most Americans, I'd been eating within a 15-16 hour window each day, having breakfast shortly after waking, and often snacking until shortly before bed. Research from the Salk Institute has shown that this constant feeding state keeps insulin levels chronically elevated, prevents cellular repair mechanisms from activating, and disrupts circadian rhythms that regulate everything from metabolism to hormone production. I didn't immediately jump to extreme intermittent fasting. Instead, I simply compressed my eating window by 1 hour every 2 weeks, eventually settling into a comfortable 10-hour window. This meant all my meals occurred between 9 a.m. and 7 p.m., giving my body a full 14 hours without food overnight. This single adjustment cost nothing, required no special foods or supplements, and created space for my body to activate crucial cellular cleaning and repair processes that only occur during fasting states. The metabolic impact was profound. Within weeks, my fasting glucose dropped from pre-diabetic levels, around 110 millimolar DL, to a healthy 85 millimolar DL. My triglycerides decreased by 43%, and my energy upon waking noticeably improved. The science behind this is fascinating. Even modest fasting periods activate a cellular process called autophagy, where your body essentially performs internal housekeeping, clearing out damaged cells and regenerating new, healthier ones. The second change involved light exposure. Modern life has us bathed in artificial light at all hours. disrupting the natural light-dark cycles our bodies evolved with over millennia. Research from the National Institutes of Health shows that this disruption profoundly affects our circadian rhythm, the internal clock that regulates countless biological processes, including hormone production, neurotransmitter balance, and cellular regeneration. I made 2 simple adjustments: spending 10-15 minutes outside within an hour of waking, without sunglasses, allowing natural light to directly reach my retinas, and installing a blue light blocking app on all my devices that automatically activated after sunset. Additionally, I replaced the regular bulbs in my bedroom and bathroom with amber-colored options for evening use. These changes cost less than $30 total and required no ongoing time commitment, yet their impact on my sleep quality was remarkable. Within days, I found myself naturally feeling tired around 10 p.m., falling asleep more easily and waking refreshed without an alarm. Sleep tracker data confirmed what I was experiencing subjectively. My deep sleep phases increased by 38% and REM sleep by 27%. The biological mechanism is clear. Morning sunlight exposure signals your pineal gland to suppress melatonin production during the day, while reducing artificial blue light in the evening allows natural melatonin production to occur unimpeded, properly preparing your body for sleep. The third adjustment focused on an often overlooked aspect of health: postural patterns and movement variety. Like most Americans, I was exercising regularly but otherwise remaining relatively static, sitting in the same position for hours while working, standing in similar patterns while cooking or doing chores, and generally using my body in limited, repetitive ways despite official workout sessions. Biomechanists like Katie Bowman explained that this pattern of sedentary exercise, where we're inactive most of the day except for dedicated workout periods, fails to provide the movement nutrition our tissues need. Our bodies require not just periodic intense movement, but regular variation in how we position and use our musculoskeletal system throughout the day. Rather than adding more workout time to my schedule, I began incorporating what movement specialists call movement snacks: brief 1 to 2 minute position changes or movement patterns scattered throughout the day. I set a simple timer to remind me every 45 minutes to change my position, stretch in a different direction, or perform a quick movement pattern that contrasted with whatever position I'd been maintaining. These micro-movements required no special equipment, workout clothes, or significant time commitment, yet their cumulative effect on my musculoskeletal health was profound. The chronic lower back tension I'd accepted as normal gradually disappeared. The stiffness I typically felt upon waking diminished. Even more surprisingly, digestive issues I'd struggled with for years began to improve. A connection explained by research showing how varied movement patterns enhance gut motility and circulation to digestive organs. The fourth change addressed an invisible but powerful influence on health: exposure to environmental inputs. Modern life surrounds us with synthetic chemicals, many with demonstrated effects on hormonal function, immune response, and neurological processes. While it's impossible to eliminate all exposures, research from the Environmental Working Group shows that even modest reductions can significantly decrease the body's toxic burden. I focused on the highest impact changes with the lowest barrier to implementation. I replaced conventional cleaning products with simple alternatives like vinegar, baking soda, and Castile soap. I swapped plastic food storage containers for glass options. I prioritized organic versions of just the dirty dozen foods most likely to contain pesticide residues, rather than trying to make everything organic. Perhaps most importantly, I created greater awareness around water quality, installing an affordable carbon filter for drinking water and a simple chlorine filter on my shower head. Research from the Silent Spring Institute demonstrates how these basic modifications can significantly reduce exposure to endocrine-disrupting chemicals that influence everything from metabolism to mood regulation. Within months, the persistent skin issues I'd battled for years began to clear, my energy levels became more consistent. Most notably, the brain fog that had frequently plagued me started to lift, replaced by clearer thinking and improved focus. Cognitive improvements that research links directly to reduced exposure to certain common environmental toxins. The fifth change involved my microbiome, the vast ecosystem of bacteria living primarily in our digestive tract that influences everything from immune function to neurotransmitter production. Rather than following trendy probiotic recommendations or elaborate gut protocols, I focused on simple, sustainable practices to support microbial diversity. I speak directly to you watching this now. Have you noticed how many health interventions focus on eliminating or restricting, rather than nourishing and supporting? This subtle shift in perspective created a profound difference in my approach. Instead of seeing health as a battle against bad inputs, I began focusing on providing my body, particularly my microbiome, with the diverse supports it needed to function optimally. If you're finding value in understanding how these subtle approaches can create dramatic health improvements, consider subscribing to this channel. Unlike typical health content focused on quick fixes or extreme interventions, we explore the science of sustainable changes that create compound effects over time. The comment section below is open for sharing your experiences. What small changes have created unexpectedly large effects in your health journey? Your insights might be exactly what another viewer needs to hear. I began incorporating small amounts of fermented foods daily, a tablespoon of unpasteurized sauerkraut with breakfast, a small portion of natural yogurt as an afternoon snack, or a few ounces of kefir in my morning smoothie. I prioritized diversity in plant foods rather than massive quantities, aiming to include at least 20-25 different plant species weekly, a target made achievable by counting herbs, spices, and small amounts of varied ingredients, rather than focusing solely on large vegetable servings. Research from the American Gut Project confirms that microbial diversity, not specific probiotic strains, is the strongest predictor of gut health. By simply tracking and gradually increasing the variety of plant foods I consumed, I was providing the substrate needed for beneficial bacteria to thrive. Within months, my digestive symptoms had improved dramatically. More surprisingly, my mood stability increased, a connection explained by research on the gut-brain axis, showing how approximately 90% of serotonin receptors are located in the gut. The sixth change addressed an often overlooked aspect of health: breath mechanics. Like most Americans, I'd developed a pattern of shallow, chest-based breathing, often unconsciously holding my breath during concentration or stress. Research from Stanford University's Center for Stress and Health reveals how these breathing patterns trigger the sympathetic nervous system, keeping the body in a subtle state of fight or flight activation throughout the day. Rather than dedicated meditation sessions that I struggled to maintain, I implemented what respiratory therapists call pattern interrupts. Brief, targeted breathing adjustments scattered throughout the day. I set simple reminders on my phone to take 5 deep diaphragmatic breaths every hour, placed colored dot stickers on items I used frequently, like my computer or refrigerator, as cues to check and adjust my breathing, and practiced simple 4 to 7-8 breathing patterns during naturally occurring waiting periods in my day. The neurological and physiological impacts were immediate and powerful. My heart rate variability, a key marker of autonomic nervous system health, increased by 42% within weeks. My resting heart rate decreased from an average of 76 to 62 beats per minute. Most noticeably, my stress resilience improved significantly. Challenges that previously would have triggered hours of rumination or physical tension now created only brief, manageable responses. The seventh and perhaps most powerful change came through addressing my hydration status. While I'd always been conscientious about drinking water, I hadn't understood the critical role of electrolyte balance in cellular hydration. Research from the University of Connecticut's Human Performance Laboratory shows that even mild dehydration, as little as 1 to 2% below optimal, can impair cognitive function, energy production, and mood regulation. Rather than simply increasing water intake, I focused on proper absorption by adding minimal amounts of unprocessed salt and trace minerals to my water throughout the day. This simple addition, costing pennies, created a marked difference in how my body utilized the water I consumed. I began experiencing what cellular physiologists call efficient hydration, where water actually enters cells rather than merely passing through the digestive tract. The results were remarkable. My skin's appearance improved noticeably, fine lines diminished, and the previously dry patches became consistently smooth and hydrated. My cognitive endurance, the ability to maintain focus over extended periods, increased significantly. Most surprisingly, the afternoon energy dips I'd experienced for years virtually disappeared, replaced by steady energy throughout the day. Looking back over this health transformation, what stands out isn't any single change, but rather the cumulative effect of multiple small adjustments working in concert. Each change supported and amplified the others, creating what systems biologists call emergent properties, benefits greater than the sum of individual interventions. What's equally important to note is what this transformation didn't require. It didn't demand expensive equipment, exotic supplements, or dramatic lifestyle overhauls. It didn't involve punishing exercise regimens or extreme dietary restrictions. Instead, it came through understanding and working with my body's innate biological design, providing the conditions and inputs it needed to function as intended. The lesson I hope to share is this: your body isn't broken. It's exquisitely designed to maintain health when given the right conditions. Those conditions often don't require heroic interventions or perfect adherence to rigid protocols. They simply require attention to the small daily patterns that, over time, either support or undermine your biological functioning. In the gap between those small daily choices lies the difference between merely surviving and truly thriving. A small change might create a ripple effect in your own health. The answer may be simpler and more accessible than you've been led to believe.